We've arrived. This is the final part of the Essential course. Give yourself a pat on the back for sticking around this long. In this part, we're building the mobile version of our page, and along the way, we're going to see how we can maintain the link between the desktop and mobile version using the element library, and how we can make sure that the element settings from desktop are connected to the mobile version. But we'll also take a look at how we can override specific element settings on mobile, or how we can unlink text content entirely from the desktop versions. Before we start, there's one thing I need to mention. Because as we've seen in the previous parts of this course, I could position everything in a pixel perfect manner. And because of this, it's practically impossible to predict where these elements should be positioned when we're getting to the mobile version. So, when I navigate to the mobile version of my page via the menu on the left, I'm greeted by a blank canvas once again.
Are you serious? So you have to start all over again?
Not exactly.
What do you mean? It's literally a blank canvas.
Hold up. Let me explain. Because now, on the right side of my screen, I can find an element library containing all of the elements I used on the desktop version of my page, including all of their settings. And all I need to do is drag the elements from this element library to my canvas and resize them if needed. But everything else will be preserved. And I mean everything. That's animations, effects, actions, the whole shebang.
Okay, that doesn't sound too bad.
Right? Okay, so let's continue the build. I'll select the background color from my first scene to the same color as the desktop version, and I'll start by dragging my elements to the mobile canvas. Notice how the black titles are currently way too big to fit on the mobile canvas. And that's because the settings we defined on desktop are copied directly to the mobile version. This is called cascading. Everything we do on desktop always cascades down to the mobile version of our page. So if I change the font to Greycliff on desktop, you can see that this change is also visible on mobile. Let's revert that though. My green title, on the other hand, does fit perfectly, and there's a different explanation for that. Remember how we set up a style collection in a previous course, where we could define our style settings for both desktop and mobile. We already set up a different font size for my mobile version there, and the fruits of that labor are showing now. You can see that the font size is set to 26 on mobile, while it was set to 50 on desktop. If I select the energy title, I can see all the exact same options that we saw in the desktop version. Because I use the element library to place my elements, its settings are connected to the desktop version. And this also means that changes made on desktop are automatically visible on mobile. Very useful for when you need to make changes to texts or swap an image, for example, as you only need to do this in the desktop version of your page. Now, let's make sure the black texts fit on mobile. I'll change the font size to 95 to make it a bit smaller, and notice how there's a blue circle that appears next to my font size. This indicates that we've overridden this setting from the desktop version. The setting has basically unlinked itself from its desktop version. So if I change the font size on desktop now, the mobile version will remain unchanged. All of the other settings are still linked to my desktop version though, so if I make changes to any other setting on desktop, the mobile version will still update itself accordingly. For text-based elements specifically, like titles and texts and buttons, it's also possible to unlink the text content within these elements from the desktop versions. So when double-clicking a text element, we can see a pop-up appearing at the top of the canvas, telling me to unlock the element. After clicking unlock, I'm now able to completely alter my text. However, be advised that every time we now make changes to the desktop version, you have to manually make this change on mobile as well. So I would advise to keep your text linked. But hey, who am I to judge?
Whatever floats your boat, man.
What boat?
It's an expression. Whatever floats your boat?
I don't get it.
Never mind.
Anyway, while we were arguing about boats, our post-production team managed to finish building the mobile version of our page.
Wait, that fast?
I told you it wasn't as much work to convert your page to mobile. It's just repositioning and resizing elements. So, in this last course, we learned that no matter what we build on desktop, we're always met with a blank canvas on mobile. However, we can use the element library to position our elements on the mobile canvas. And we did have to resize some elements to make them fit on the smaller mobile screens, but everything else cascades down from the desktop to our mobile version. We also saw that we could make specific changes to the element settings on mobile, while keeping the desktop version unchanged. Lastly, we also managed to unlink text contents on mobile to edit them independently from the desktop version. Before we finish, I want to point out that we won't leave you after this. If you're building with Maglr Pro and at any point in time you run into an issue or question, you will always find a chat button in the bottom right corner across the platform. This is a live chat with actual humans, mind you, so you will never be confronted with a chatbot or a useless automated response. Instead, we'll be chatting and helping you personally. Please do mind though that we're based in the Netherlands, so in case there's a time zone difference between you and me, our response might take a little longer to arrive.
It's always a response they can directly work with though.
Exactly. And that's always more important in our opinion. Anyway, from all of us over here at Maglr, thank you for following our courses and subscribing to our channels, because as a small company, it truly means the world to us. And we're also looking forward to seeing your creations popping up on our social media feeds too, so don't hesitate to share them with us there.